is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the break, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It is Tuesday, the 11th of November. Here with Steve Wyss and Jack Wright. We are entering the final international soccer window of 2025. Relief from a lot of people, I'm sure. But Jack, how are you doing? We will be looking ahead to some matches on the slate today. It is a limited soccer slate, it must be said. We'll be picking Jack's brains about the sort of the latest goings on in the Premier League. We'll have a look at a few outrights as well. How are you feeling heading into this international break, Jack?
Good day, Steve. Good day, everyone. Welcome on board. I'm feeling good. I think we had a little chat, didn't we, a couple of days ago about you had an amazing weekend. Some of the hits both you and James had over the weekend were phenomenal, and you feel, I just hit a little bit of form now. I want to go again, don't you? So to have that break for the internationals might not be such a good thing. We're talking that we're now getting to that point. We both love a bit of stat, don't we? So we're now getting into that point where teams have had 5 home games, 5 away games, and that for me is a little bit of a benchmark number where I would now expect to be kicking on and identifying trends and team strengths and weaknesses and exploiting them in the markets. So but look, we always accept the break, especially with Christmas coming up. We know that's a real frenetic time for us. So I think we kind of have a little bit of a reset now, knowing we're going to go strong for the next few weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jack. We hit both our hot dogs, me and James, over the weekend, and it was funny because I was actually just a few hours before the first hot dog started on James's pick. I was walking by the river and I came across this massive dog. You might have seen me put a picture up on X. It was a huge Irish wolfhound. And I just thought that is an ominously good sign to see a dog that big. And lo and behold, we cashed both the hot dogs. I was very happy about the Eintracht Frankfurt winner. You had a good winner on Sunday with Haaland. You missed that penalty. How are you feeling then? You got got a huge wheelbarrow of money on him, Haaland to score. He's on a penalty kick. You're already collecting your money. When was it? I couldn't even remember the last time he missed a penalty.
No, I think he did the graphic come up. I think he'd scored 15 of his last 17 or something like that. But hasn't Rashvili across Europe's top 5 leagues, has he not been saved the most penalties this calendar year? So you know what it's like when your man's on a penalty. That suddenly goal looks a lot smaller, even with Haaland holding the ball. And when you want it the other way around, where you need them to keep it out, it's massive, isn't it? So it's one of those. But if you add a player to miss, thinking he's probably going to get one later, then Haaland's the guy at the moment, and he's absolutely incredible. So
I think you were right what you said about him in the Premier League show, that he's at the level of what Messi and Ronaldo were back in the day. And if you're going to offer up anything acceptable, I know people are betting on him at minus 200 and less. Same with Harry Kane as well. And the cash in, though, that's the thing. Name me a good winner, a winner. Do you know where I'm coming from? It doesn't matter sometimes.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to be winning. So
I see that a certain someone might well be on him in the newsletter this weekend.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. This is a good reminder, actually. Betting Weekly newsletter. You know the drill, Jack. Do sign up for free. The newsletter.
My first rodeo, Steve.
Last Monday's newsletter had 3 losers on it out of 3 on the football. So,
yes.
Hopefully
we're back again. It's the same 3 of us, isn't it? It was me, you, and James.
I can't believe that they looked really good picks last week. I was so confident in my pick on that one last week.
And me too. Someone screenshotted it and said, "Oh, very nicely done. Thank you very much." I can't remember who it was who did it, and screenshotted the start of the newsletter to say, "Oh, the new one's dropped. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to put my feet up and read through it." Unfortunately, cropped it to the point where it said, "Unfortunately, Jack Wright's pick last week was a loser." I thought, "Oh, you could have cropped another bit out," but no, I had an over 2.5 goals game there. It was 1-1 after 20 minutes, and still managed to stay 1-1.
I've got you beat on that this year. I had a 2-unit play and it was 1-1 after 11 minutes this season in the Bundesliga and it stayed 1-1. Yeah. So I had a match once in Norway. I was on over 3 agent goals. It was 1-1 after 3 minutes and it stayed 1-1. It's beyond belief, isn't it? It's absolutely beyond belief. Anyway, enough of those stories. Let's just see. Welcome everyone in. Rick Haley, good to see you. Byron, always good to see you as well. He's asking Rick if he took the Eagles last night. I tell you what, a huge shout out again to the Betting Weekly Live USA crew, who are once again live today at 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 consecutive daily double wins for Doug Kazarian and Mike Carver. It's absolute. It's brilliant. We need to find a winner. Simon Holden came close yesterday, to be fair. Yeah. Really good effort from Simon there on a tough slate. But huge shout out to the crew over in the US there. Real Brandon King.
If this is the Ryder Cup of tipping, this is the reverse of what happened a few weeks ago, isn't it? We are getting it handed to us by the American team massively, but we all know what happened. So we're get ready for the comeback.
Where's our miracle of Medina? We need that now, don't we? But Real Brandon King's not excited about another international break. I don't know how I'm feeling about it. Part of me doesn't want the break. Part of me doesn't mind it. I'm a bit mixed on this one. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, welcome in. RHM, we are going to have some tips on the EFL Trophy. Don't you worry about that. There's a daily double in that. Snacks Monster. Let's be honest, you would have saved that, Jack. It was awful, that penalty from. Was it that? It wasn't. It was choreographed. I'll say that. It was choreographed.
I think it did look like he was going to knock it that way, didn't it?
Choreographed, telegraphed. Not choreographed.
Things they do in training these days, Steve.
Right. Okay. Where are we at? We might as well. You know what? We're going to crack into the EFL Trophy games. We've got National League on the slate as well today. I've got a bet on the York City game, and then we will talk a little bit of Premier League futures as well to finish off the show. But EFL Trophy. Now, for those who don't know, this is how can I describe this trophy, Jack? It's basically the teams involved are in League One, League Two, and the under 21 teams from Premier League or certain amount of Premier League teams.
Certain amount of them, yeah. So third and fourth tier in England, and then an invited number of Premier League under 21 sides, as you can see on the graphic there, Liverpool and Wolves. There are others as well. And the under 21s always play away. So that's something to bear in mind. Don't really know. Well, I guess it's where they're allowed to play and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I've got a breakdown. Someone's already mentioned the fact that they feel it could be a bit goalsy. I have some breakdowns of the tournament so far because I'm sure this probably isn't high on the list of our viewers' menu choices as far as tournaments, competitions to bet in. So I'm going to give you a read on what's happened so far.
Yeah,
and there are 20 games tonight in this tournament, so I actually quite like it. If you pick it carefully, there's generally some routes in that are fairly standard, and yeah, you just got obviously get the right side of it. But there's some strong trends. Put it that way.
Well, tell us about these trends then, because I mean, goals are on the agenda. You know, let's hear about that and perhaps maybe why that might be the case in this competition.
Yeah, okay. I'll run through the general stats so far. So this season so far, 76 games played. Now, the other kind of quirk to this tournament, which we don't normally have in English soccer, is that if it ends in a tie, it goes straight to a penalty shootout, although we're in a league format at the moment. So there are no ties. It will go, if it's 2-2 after 90 minutes, it goes to a penalty shootout, and whoever wins the penalty shootout wins the match. So 76 games played, either in 90 or after the penalty shootout. 74% of those have come out as home wins, and only 26% have come out as away wins. There's been 292 goals so far. That's an average of 3.84 per game. So a huge number. As someone's already pointed out there, that's the numbers to back that up. As far as the over-unders is concerned, there's been 1-0-0 tie so far in the 90 minutes in this tournament so far. 75 games have seen at least one goal. 56 of those have seen over 2.5 goals. So that's 74% landing. And 53% have seen over 3.5 goals land. So hopefully that trend might well continue tonight. Not
That's
giving
a
nothing
big trend.
more than that. It is, yeah. 40 of those 76 games have seen 4 or more goals. So it's good. Both teams to score stats. 66% have seen both teams score, and 64% have seen both teams score and over 2.5 goals. So yeah, it's a bit of a free for all, to be honest. And as far as the profit, I'm gonna channel my inner Dan Roebuck here, and I'm gonna go with the profitable trends to follow in the markets. So as far as home wins are concerned, and we've had 42 home wins, and for a $10 bet on every single home team to win, you'd be $157 up. If you were betting away teams, you would be $21 up. If you were betting any halftime result, whatever way you went, you'd have lost if you kept the same bet every time, home draw or away win at halftime. As far as the both teams to score market's concerned, you'd have been $38 up, 39 winners in that market. So you'd have been $38 up. Both teams to score no, therefore is quite a heavy loser if you're playing that one. Over 2.5 goals, 75% hit rate, and it's $111 up for a £10 level stake. And Nigel, if you're listening, you might want to cover your ears now. Under 2.5 goals, if you're playing that market, you'd have had 15 winners, but you'd have lost $244 to your £10 level stake. Yes, this by far. Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting in terms of you would have made profit back in the home team's blind, the away team's blind, which means, again, drawbackers not in business. I can actually understand it more to a degree here, because if it does end a draw, you go to the penalty shootout. I know you can get an extra point for winning the shootout, but it's probably in your advantage to win in 90 minutes if you can.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's definitely something to consider. That's a horrible stat for under 2.5 goals back.
Yeah, lots of goals in it. I think because this is a tournament that does end up at Wembley. You do win a trophy, and this is a trophy. These clubs aren't going to be winning the FA Cup. They aren't going to be winning the League Cup. So I think I think that does give them that incentive. It also means there's a bit of rotation. So you've got players that are coming in that are maybe looking for a bit of form or knocking on the door to say they should be in the first team. And obviously there is quite a disparity against some of these sides. You're looking at sides that are up against under 21 teams, like proper full adult first team players up against under 21s, and that can be a bit of a mismatch at times, not in all cases, but at times. So I think it's a little bit of a free fall, and so the nature of it, the league format, I think initially does mean that it's a bit of a we'll have a go.
Maybe Nigel's learning here. Over 2.5 goals. Bromley versus AFC Wimbledon, great bet tonight. And he says that Premier League under 21 teams have been very poor in this competition as well. Just looking back to some other comments, still fuming, losing my Lyon double chance bet versus PSG, says Reece Conroy. PSG have scored winning goals in the 95th minute in the last 2 games, I think. Jammy buggers, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, that's the sign of a good team, isn't it? But Lyon were well worthy of a point in that game, I must say. ZT, good to see you. Brad Betts footy as well. The under 21, that's an incredible stat. 90% of the matches over 2.5 goals for the under 21s. You got a daily double in this competition. We're focusing on 2 games. The first game involves a former winner of this competition. And this is at the top of the card here, Salford City against Wolves under 21. Now, the Wolves senior team are not been very good this year. I mean, are the under 21s as bad, Jack? I mean, you're not getting involved in moneyline and handicaps here, are you? But you're looking at goals.
So Brad's read my mind a little bit there. My main play across this tournament when I do play it is to focus on the under 21 teams and generally go for overs and both teams to score. It tends to be quite a fair trend, but certainly on the overs, and that's where I'm going tonight. So Salford versus Wolves, over 3.5 goals is the first leg of the double. The double plays plus 303 in total. This particular leg is plus 112. Salford still need a point to progress through, but there's been goals in their game so far in this tournament. There's only been 2, of course, but Stockport, they won 3-1, and they scored a couple against Wigan and beaten Wigan as well. They are very good going forward. There's an interesting little dynamic here. A player that you will be familiar with, and kind of older viewers of the Premier League, and certainly fringe players within the Premier League. There's going to be a player featuring tonight that has played and won titles with Liverpool and Chelsea, and has featured quite well over in Italy. And you know who it is, don't you?
I am trying to work it out.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to find it. I was just looking at the latest odds actually for the Daily Double. But I've got a question about the under 21s from someone there. RHM was interested in a potentially 4 games for over 2.5 goals on this card. So I'll give you a bit of time to think about that one as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, on this one, I would say over 3.5 goals at plus 112. There'd be nothing wrong with a single on that, would they?
No, absolutely not. No, I
all.
put 2 bets here together that can be played as singles, as I normally do it, and I've just put them together as my 2 best bets as far as that's concerned.
That's exactly
here.
that.
So yeah, and of course you mentioned it already. Wolves are a bit disrupted going into this one because, as we know, Vitor Pereira was sacked a couple of weeks ago, and the under-21 manager James Collins stepped up to become the first team manager on an interim basis. Rob Edwards is going to be taken over very shortly, if not already. But so he is the under-21 manager, so he's kind of been job sharing a little bit at the moment. But they've gone to Stockport and lost 5-3 so far in this tournament, but they've still got a chance of progressing because they went to Wigan and won 2-1. One of the few under-21 sides to actually go and get a positive result. So they'll need to go and beat Salford tonight. Salford only need a point to make sure that they're through, but Wolves will need to go and get a point. And as I said, there has been goals follow them around, really. The player I was talking about is Fabio Barini, who was at Chelsea and at Liverpool, and they picked him up.
He had bad injuries,
transfer.
didn't he? Pretty sure he had bad injury. Did he break a leg or something, or ACL at one point, and then he got
around
another
that, wasn't
recurrence? But he would, I remember he was. I'm pretty sure if you look back at his transfer marked amount of money spent on him by teams, it would be fairly higher than you think. I'm going to look at that now, but
you can do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
He came off the bench.
Player there, yeah.
Yeah, he's, I think, 35 now, maybe, something like that, 33, 35, something like that neck of the woods. But he came off the bench at the weekend for Salford, and he'll get game time tonight. He might even start because they want to try and get some minutes in his legs. But they've got a couple of decent strikers as well. So they've got decent strength in depth there. There's a few... Go on.
Get this right. Total transfer fees in his whole career that clubs have paid for him. Go on. You have a guess.
70 million.
It's not as much as that. 41.36 million. That's. I thought it'd be like 20 million. But the biggest fee that someone paid for him was Liverpool, 13.3 million back in 2012. But he hardly played for them, didn't he?
No.
Off the top of my head. But that's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
That they've got him there. Yeah, just shows you. Anyway.
Cool. Right.
Next leg.
Well, I'll just quickly say that there is a bit of recent history. Virtually a year ago to the day, the 12th of November 2024, these two met in this competition, and it was 3-2 to Salford that night. So not loads have changed in that period of time. So I just think the over 3.5 goals in that one is the way forward. And the second leg is following a similar theme. It's Colchester versus Fulham under 21s. So this is slightly less on the table here because Colchester are through, although they're not. The element here is that sides, if they win their group, top their group, they get a home fixture in the next round or in the knockout stages. If they come second in the group, then you're away. So that's an element that there is still, you want to try and make sure that you top the group and not have a midweek trip somewhere remote in the middle of a League 1 or 2 campaign. So for this, Colchester, I think will need to look, they want to try and get back to a little bit of momentum. They lost to the side that Nigel mentioned earlier at the weekend. They lost 2-0 there. And I think they'll want to look to try and get a little bit of momentum going again after started the last couple of weeks. And Fulham just get beat quite heavily. So Gillingham and Wickham have already given them some real poundings this tournament, 4-1 and 3-1 against those sides. So I think, this one just again looks like an opportunity for the home side to go and take advantage of the fact that they're playing a youth side, get some confidence back, get some goals. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Fulham again get on the score sheet. But again, I say a 3-1, 4-1 scenario wouldn't be far off it. So that's where I'm going with there for these two sides, putting them together. So we've got a daily double.
Yeah, that is the daily double on screen there. Colchester, Fulham over 3.5 goals. Salford against Wolves under 21s over 3.5 goals, plus 303. This is in the EFL Trophy. And we are due a winner on this edition of Betting Weekly Live.
We are.
On the daily double. So I'm telling that blind. I just am now because we're long overdue. But there's been a comment here from Brad Betts Footy. He's just cashed a winner in the Qatar Stars League, and it's that time of the season where folk who bet on soccer are looking to sort of random leagues, and it reminds me of some notable winners and losers from yesterday. On the soccer front, there was a match in Paraguay actually where a team came from behind 2-1. They were losing in the 89th minute and ended up winning 3-2, and that team was called de Mayo. And someone actually did have $50 on them on the draw no bet line at 20-1 to win $1,000. I love those sort of bets that producer Troy sends me these data for this sort of thing. The biggest soccer bet yesterday was also a winner, $7,200 on Asociación Deportiva Tama over 0.5 first half goals against CD Los Chancas, and that was a winner. I don't actually know what league that's in. To be honest,
that's in Peru, I think. I think there was a penalty just about 5 minutes before. Actually, went into added on time there. A goal was disallowed. The referee then decided to send the defender off. I'm just like thinking off the top of my head there, this could be the game I'm talking about. And the penalty was scored 45 plus 2 to seal that win for them. You might want to check it out to see if I made that up.
I will have to have a look at that. It's amazing what games are out there that you keep an eye on, Jack. As well. You're a bit like me sometimes. $20,000 on the Packers money line. That was a loser against the Eagles, going against the Daily Double yesterday. That from our US live show. Another loser here on the player props yesterday on the NFL. Jordan Love over 225.5 passing yards in that match at minus 115. That was a loser. He's hardly got up any yards, has he? The last 2 games, Jordan Love. Been very disappointing.
I think Brad might have just validated my my finger in the air and guess there.
There you go. Absolutely. Red card penalty, double yellow. I'm going to check that match. But that was a winner. Okay. Now, notable live streams today, by the way, before we move on. 7 EuroLeague basketball games are on the slate. We've got Euro Cup basketball games as well. Grand Slam of darts. You can watch that live on the BetRivers app or on demand. It's been on the group stage, hasn't it? And there's been so many games on the darts. Now, I think from tomorrow onwards, it will be the knockout phase of that tournament. And of course, you can watch Lorenzo Mazzetti against Alex de Minaur ATP finals at 2:30 Eastern time. You can watch Betting Weekly Tennis live in about an hour and a half with Nigel Seeley and Rory Chiwani. Shout out to them recently. They've been absolutely crushing the WTA winners across the board.
Finishing strong.
Yeah, they didn't want the season to end, did they? They were just getting started with some incredible winners. Okay, well, it's that sort of day where I can't almost believe I'm saying this, but we've got a graphic coming up now, which we are going down as low as the 5th tier of the English soccer pyramid. And we've got 2 matches in the National League. Forest Green Rovers against Tamworth, York City against Rochdale. I mean, the good thing is a few of these teams do have quite big sort of storylines to them, and have been football league clubs within the last decade. I can't actually remember exactly what year York pulled out. Were relegated from the football league, but they back in the day were a regular mainstay. We'll save the Forest Green Rovers match for a minute, but York City against Rochdale. Obviously, for me, I live in Yorkshire, so York City, I do sometimes get a bit of their news on my feeds and stuff like that, and they've been going well. They've been going much better this season. This is a good battle, actually, 6th against 3rd. But I'm a little bit surprised, Jack, that York City are significantly minus money favourites. Actually, minus 124. It's slightly wrong on the graphic there, but it's minus 124 to win the game. And you can get double chance on Rochdale at minus 120. And that just stood out to me as a good-looking bet. They haven't conceded many goals this season at all. It's been an incredible defence, actually. So I did my due diligence on the research. York City are apparently welcoming back 3 players from injury for this match tonight, but they are expected to be on the bench. So just based on pure results, on value lines and statistics, that just looked really, really too big a price on Rochdale for me. I think there's a good chance of a draw here. Both teams don't lose matches very often.
No, they're both doing well. They both were in the playoffs last season as well. Both just fell short. There's a lot of consternation in that the lower tiers or in non-league soccer, really saying in England that it's unfair that there's the champions will get promoted into the league, so they'll go into League 2, and then there's a playoff between the sides underneath them. But there's only 2 sides will then get promoted into League 2, back into the EFL. And you've got to say York were pretty unfortunate last season. They finished, Barnet were exceptional last season in the National League, and York finished behind them in 2nd place. But they got knocked out in the playoffs by an Oldham side that they were 23 points clear of over the normal regular season. So, you know the rules when you go into it. There's only one that's going to go up automatically. Then it's a little bit of a lottery after that. But they were unfortunate. Rochdale were there as well. Both sides in good form, like you said. The one element for me that really stood out or continues to stand out for Rochdale is their defence. It is so strong. Only conceded 8 goals across the season so far. They've only conceded 4 of those on the road as well. So that is a real strong setup that they've got. 8 road trips, 4 goals conceded. They are the Arsenal of the National League without a shadow of a doubt. And the real thing that I like, and the bet, by the way, is both teams to score no, which I've gone for here, which kind of gives me a little bit of a double-edged sword in the fact that it obviously can go either way here, but it's plus 116. And I just thought that was a really, really big price. When you look at Rochdale, as I said, they don't concede many goals, but when you look to see who they've already played this season, obviously these 2 sides are in the top 6, and Rochdale have been and travelled on the road to 3 of the other members of the top 4. They went to the league leaders Carlisle and won 1-0. They went to the 2nd place team Boreham Wood and won 2-0. And they went to 5th place Forest Green Rovers and won 1-0. 5 clean sheets in their 8 road trips so far this season. York are quite tight defensively as well. Both teams to score no is it landed in 10 of their 16 respective home and away games between these 2 sides this season. That's 63% of the fixtures and would represent something in the region of minus 170 as far as that would be concerned. So they're getting plus money on this. I know York have got a lot of firepower. Both these sides have got strikers that can score plenty of goals, but the defence is too impressive for me to turn down plus money about both teams to score no. Just one of these 2 sides to keep a clean sheet, or both, obviously. I
think the 0-0 detector could be in operation here. I think 1-0 hopefully to Rochdale. That under 1.5. This might be one of my under 1.5 goal bets as well.
The special,
yeah, special plus 310. Plus 310 for under 1.5 goals. I'm not seeing many goals in the game. The other fixture, I actually watched Forest Green the other week in the FA Cup against Luton. It was a barnstorming game. It was on Halloween night, wasn't it? Luton were given the biggest fright of their lives. 3-0 down. They came back to 3-3, but they lost it late, Forest Green Rovers. And, they are well thought of, I think, in this league right now. Minus 235 favourites to beat Tamworth. Will it be lambs to the slaughter here? I'm not sure. All the puns are going out today. I like the goals here, Jack. Over 2.5 goals, minus 167. I don't think there's anything wrong with that bet because Tamworth actually are unbeaten on the road in 4. I'm not saying they'll avoid defeat here because it's a significant class up in opponents. But they Forest Green Rovers have definitely got goals in them. But I'm not sure recently whether they've got clean sheets in them. So you could look at maybe home win and both teams score, or home win and over 2.5 goals as well. But I was quite impressed with what I saw from Forest Green from an offensive perspective in that TV game in the FA Cup.
Yeah, well, we've got a massive surprise here, haven't we? In that, again, we've got a name that Premier League watchers would be very familiar with, certainly from a good few years ago. Robbie Savage is the man in charge of Forest Green Rovers. And I was not expecting him to be a manager. It just didn't seem to be that kind of guy. He'd kind of gone down the media route. I thought that's where he was going to end up. Punditry was going to be his kind of style. Big mouth, shoots off, happy to say things that will get people engaged. And I thought that's kind of what we do. And then he rocked up at Macclesfield, didn't he, last season, who are in the tier below this. And it seemed just exceptionally well. 100 points, 100 goals. And that alerted Forest Green Rovers have snapped him up to kind of carry on their charge, hopefully for them, back into the EFL. Representing vegans all over the place, of course, Forest Green Rovers. So no wonder you're after Tamworth. So this is an interesting one. I've gone with Forest Green Rovers are very strong at home. They've been good throughout the course of the campaign so far. Had a little bit of a wobble, lost a game, a couple of games actually, Carlisle and Rochdale, but no real disgrace in that. We've already talked about them, up there in the top three. And but bounced back, beat Boreham Wood and Aldershot. So I think they'll come into this with that kind of renewed confidence. I'm going Forest Green half-time and full-time. They're minus 225 to win the match. And this is kind of a bit of a way I normally get into these sides that are quite strong favourites, especially ones that can start quickly. Plus 108 that becomes. So I think you either go down the route where you go win to nil, or you go down the route of half-time, full-time. And like you, I think there could well be goals in it. So I'm going to go half-time, full-time at plus 108. Gets a much better price. And you mentioned about Tamworth being strong. They've got a very good away record. They've actually won more points on the road than they have at home. They've won 4 games away from home. However, if you drilled into the detail of that a little bit, it's not quite so strong as it looks. The highest side that they've beaten so far in the league is 15th. There's 24 teams in the league. 15th is the highest that they've beaten. And the other 3 are sides that are all currently in the bottom 5. They've lost to both York and Southend on the road, who sit in the 2 places directly below Forest Green Rovers. So I do think Rovers have got the ability, they've got the strength, they've got a big squad, good strength in depth, goals in them as well. I think they can go on and win this, get in front in the first half, and then keep it tight in the second half. They've actually only conceded 1 second half goal in their 8 home games so far this season. So I think that they've got everything about them here to go on and get ahead, keep ahead, and therefore win this as far as half-time and full-time is concerned.
Yeah, I like that half-time, full-time at plus money. Like I said with Tamworth, it is a step up in class for them here. And you are sometimes, you've got to look at the fixtures the teams have faced before. When you're considering record, it is a positive for them, obviously, that they've got a decent away record. But I think they're too strong here, Forest Green. I'm thinking that 3-1 score, it could even be to 0, 3-0, 4-0 actually. But they've got goals in them. That's what I like about the over as well. Yeah. I think it's one of those where one team can cover it by themselves, but you might get a second contribution maybe down the line. I mean, they are.
They met in April.
Yeah. Go on.
They met in April and it was 3-0 to Forest Green then, and they all goals came in the first half. So obviously a repeat of that would be absolutely ideal. But I think you've got that element that I think that they can just go and quickly rack up 2 or 3 goals, and that could kind of kill the contest to a certain degree. But we'll see. Yeah, I think we're on the same page, generally speaking there.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite a high-profile club for a 5th-tier team, actually, Forest Green. Of course, they were in the Football League recently, known for their the vegan club, the self-sustainable club as well, like with energy, I think, and stuff like that. Yeah. They've always their manager hit list down the years though has always intrigued me, Jack. I must say. I mean, we going back, I've just got the list here. Remember Dave Hockaday, more for his time at Leeds actually, rather than there. But we've had Ian Birchnell, Rob Edwards, Duncan Ferguson never struck me as a Forest Green sort of manager. Troy Deeney, Steve Cotterill, and now Robbie Savage. So they've always had some intriguing managers, Forest Green. And they're ambitious.
It was kind of the intro of Duncan Ferguson. It was one of the most cringy introductions and interviews that we'd seen where he's like had a vegan pie there to eat, and you think that, hey, Duncan Ferguson, this is a big dunk. I think he was regretting it at that moment in time, going, what have I done here?
I think he was sneaking a few sausage rolls into the dressing room.
He could have been.
He's got to have been doing that. But just going back to some comments here, Black Cats 25 is right. York are big spenders. I was mentioning to a friend today that I'm actually talking about York City on today's show, and that was the first thing that came back in terms of the money bags York. Gratz has got an interesting play in the darts. Danny Noppert has won 11 consecutive round robin games in the last 4 years at this tournament, and he's minus 110 against Johnny Clayton tonight. That's a hell of a run for Noppy, I think he's called, as his nickname. There's a few interesting nicknames coming from the Darts World Championship next month, and you see a couple of the nicknames have been banned because they wouldn't go. There's one in particular that's brilliant, I think.
The Magnet.
Yes, the Magnet.
let you Google that, everyone. You can find out who he is and his actual name.
There's someone else as well that's been banned for his nickname. But Darts World Championship coming up next month. Right, in terms of these EFL games then, Jack, can we get 4 games, do you reckon, for over 2.5 goals?
Well, do you know what I was going to say? I've got a bit of a blind bet that I would play in these if you just want to put something together for a bit of fun, of course. And it would generally be over 2.5 goals and both teams to score in those under 21s. That would be my normal default go to that. Yeah. The one that I'm kind of a little bit concerned about is Liverpool. They've it's been 2-0 in both their group games so far. They're at Chesterfield, but Chesterfield got ramped 7-1. I can't remember who beat him now off the top of my head, but they were smashed. But then they came back to win 1-0. So that game's got a little bit of alarm bells around it. But obviously, if we're putting a fun parlay together, then you ain't going to be losing too much on it. So, so either go 3.5 goals across all those under 21 fixtures, or over 2.5, and both teams to score in those. And you should be there or thereabouts. You should get a good run.
Just looking here, Brad Betts. We haven't talked about the MK Don, Swindon or Crawley, Peterborough. No, Peterborough have won the last 2 editions of this competition, haven't they? They obviously have a good record in it. Black Cats backed Atletico MG in Brazil last night, half-time, full-time, and he got greedy. That can happen though in the betting game sometimes. We'll remind people of the Daily Double later, but before we finish the show, I just wanted to get some general thoughts on Jack about the Premier League sort of futures market and sort of maybe a reaction from Sunday's results, the weekend results. And there's another factor I want to talk to you about, which funny enough, Nigel was messaging me earlier actually about Marco Silva. He's been on about Marco Silva for a long time, wanting to leave the club, or he might be removed from his post. There's been a big move on him today in the next manager to be ousted market in the Premier League. Even money, I think, with some sources. Everyone thought it was going to be Daniel Farke. I think you were hoping it was going to be Daniel Farke, weren't you, as a Norwich fan? But from what I've heard, that Leeds are going to stick with Farke through this international break, which...
You've got some terrible games coming up, haven't you? You've got a real load of really, really hard... You'd expect probably to lose your next 4 at least, regardless of who's in charge.
Well, I don't see... This is the only thing I can think of. They're just waiting. They don't want to bring a new manager in when you've got such a tough run of games. Yeah. But... we'd need a whole episode on Daniel Farke and Leeds. But anyway, Marco Silva could well be changed at Fulham. And the reason is because they're only just above the relegation zone. And a lot of people are saying they're sneakily going under the radar in terms of a relegation battle team this season. These are winner and top 4 odds. But, in terms of Silva and Fulham, are they actually a team on your relegation radar, Jack? Even if they replaced him, no one has talked about Fulham as a team in trouble. I've not heard anyone really say it.
Not really.
But
No, they're
are
still a
they
good
worth?
price.
Lucas Silva, I think, has done a really good job at Fulham. A brilliant job, and I think he'd be tough to replace. Personally, I think there's a lot of Marco Silva. He's really imprinted himself on that squad. So I'm not sure about them now. If they removed him or if he resigned, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Fulham?
Yeah, I said they've been underperforming really over the course of the season. They've been a side that flirted with finishing top 8, 10 the last couple of seasons, then kind of fade away at the end of the season. This time around, they never really got going. They've had problems with their strikers being injured, and it's just not clicking for others. They missed Anderson for a couple of games as well. Silva, I said to you on text as well, didn't I? Silva seems just permanently grumpy about life. And is if he does want to go or he's not happy with something, maybe it's just his demeanor, but he doesn't ever quite seem to be in love with what he's doing there. And I look at it and I was trying to work out what kind of manager Fulham would go for next, because you've got sides that you go, they want a manager with a certain template or a manager that would dig him out of trouble, like Forest have gone back to Sean Dyche, like West Ham have gone to Nuno. I don't think Fulham would want that type of manager, because they'd kind of want a nice, pretty, playing, attractive style manager, which I think would be trouble. And when you look at the league, I think Wolves, I don't know how they're going to get out of the problems they're in at the moment. You know, we saw Rob Edwards at Luton a couple of seasons ago. Then he took them down out of the Championship the wrong way. So, you know, the jury's out there. A couple of good jobs, a couple of poor jobs. I fear for Burnley. West Ham, I think, will get out of it with Nuno. Forest, I think, will definitely get out of it with Sean Dyche, which then leaves you Wolves, Burnley, Leeds, and Fulham. Next on the list there, I think, is Manchester City, as far as relegation is concerned, but I think that's probably down to the other areas off the pitch. And I think Keith Andrews has done enough at Brentford to suggest that he kind of wins a couple, he might have a bit of a poor performance, but they bounce back and they pick up a good win, and they've got very strong home form, which I think is crucial. Nigel's touched on this before, and yeah, he also came in there and said Scott Parker would be high on the list for Fulham, going back to Fulham from Burnley. But Fulham's not that place you go to. Craven Cottage is not a place you'd go to, like the City Ground's rocking, Ellen Road's rocking, Stadium of Light we're talked about is rocking. You've got those places that have got that fearsome factor, and Fulham haven't got that. It's just a nice club in a nice part of the world, and they're kind of meandering a little bit, and so I think they can get sucked into it, and at the prices I think absolutely are worthy of a little bit of investment. I don't know who, it looks like he could well be going, I don't know who they would get in, what kind of manager they get in.
It's a good question. That you are right, they wouldn't go for a Dyche Nuno type even if they were available. You know, Nigel's put Scott Parker there as a possible, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't blame Parker for lead. Burnley's underlying metrics are horrendous. They're actually overachieving in every category. Yeah. Like, I don't see how they just haven't got the squad. It's as simple as that. It's nothing. It's not a stain on Parker at all. And he's done well to get them where they are in the table. Frank Lampard. Interesting
shout for Nigel there on Frank Lampard. Obviously, a Chelsea legend, going over to Fulham, but he's, as he rightly says, he's right in the area. He lives there. So
we saw that with Rob Edwards, of course, has gone into Wolves, and the main reason, well, two reasons he's gone there is probably one of them that his family lives 20 minutes away, and I'm sure he's going to be well paid as well. But, you can't underestimate that sort of factor. I mean, I think Wolves are gone even if Edwards makes an impact. It's too much to make up. I'm with you. I think Sean Dyche is not the sort of manager that's going to take a team down, and neither's Nuno. I think the problem with Dyche is down the road, you'll probably have to replace him at some point, and he's certainly at a place where managers get replaced. But he's absolutely fine for a year. He'll keep them up, no problem. And Nuno, I think, in West Ham, isn't a bad fit, actually. He's calm enough, isn't he, to deal with the emotions there. The Leeds' future's purely going to be on the next manager, because Farker will go. It's just a question of when. The next manager is so important for Leeds United. The minute Marco Rose is the favourite, the former RB Leipzig boss. Anyway, that is it's an interesting debate, and In terms of
Your home form is going to be crucial in it. We talked about it before. Sunderland have obviously their home form, Leeds home form, Burnley haven't got quite the same dynamic as you guys have got. So that's part of the reason why you'd fear for them more. But if Leeds can just get clicking, certainly against those mid to lower rank sides at home, then you get over the line. Because again, I don't think it's going to be an awful lot to stay up above the dotted line this season. But yeah, a little bit more than last season, of course, because it was a shambles.
At this point in time in the title race, Jack, obviously there's the big result on Sunday. Manchester City beat Liverpool. And at the moment, by the way, Chelsea are, it's interesting, Chelsea are only third in the table, and they're as big as 20-1. You know, are they waiting to pounce if the top two kind of drop points? Arsenal, of course, were given a tough game at Sunderland. First time anyone's rattled them in a long time. City with a big win. Plus 225 for them. They're 4 points off the pace. You know, suddenly Arsenal look a bit more human after the Sunderland result, Jack, or was it just a one-off game?
It's tough going to Sunderland at this moment in time. And you're going to have those results that don't quite go your way over the course of a season, and they still managed to pick up a point at least from that. And I think with Arsenal, the biggest problem is probably going to be between their ears if Manchester City can stay in their slipstream down through Christmas into the new year and then coming down the straight, because they know they've been there before, and that's the fear. So I think, I've spoke to a couple of Arsenal fans, and they are conscious and concerned about the fact that, City are there. Are they back? Are they doing it? For me, City, it's an obvious thing to say, but it comes down to one man. If you take Haaland out of that side, are they going to get enough goals to challenge? Probably not. That would then rest probably on Marmoush, who's not shown quite enough at this moment. Doesn't get that much of a chance, admittedly. But Haaland in the side and in the form that he's in at the moment, you're going to say that Man City are going to be able to keep the pace. But Chelsea that you mentioned there, I think they just throw in too many bad results. Like you just as you think you're a bit confident with Chelsea, they'll go and get beat at home by Sunderland, or they'll go to a Burnley and get beat, or something silly like that. And they always seem to be one game away from Maresca being under pressure.
Arsenal's next 6 games in all comps, by the way, are not a piece of cake by any stretch of the imagination. They've got Tottenham at home, Bayern Munich at home, Chelsea away. Then they got Brentford, who can be awkward, and then Villa away, and then Club Brugge away in the Champions League, which is not an easy place to go these days, as they showed against Barcelona. So I think it's an interesting phase for Arsenal. And then over Christmas, they've got the likes of Palace in the Cup, Brighton, Villa and Bournemouth, and then Liverpool. So interesting phase coming up for Arsenal.
It's the same with everything. Like in the futures market, you got Arsenal there at minus 167 for the title. I think it's a bad result and a good result for Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and then that suddenly changes. You are going to get those little swings. I certainly wouldn't be backing them at minus 167 at the moment, but would I really be confident putting my money anywhere else? Probably not. Really, to be fair, I'd probably want a bit bigger on City for reasons that Brad's also just mentioned down there as well. But I think, it's perfect. As you say, Tottenham, we know that could be anything in that game. Chelsea away, we know, again, on their day, Chelsea can easily beat them. And Villa away, we know, are exceptionally tough, and they've already done the number on Arsenal that season when Arsenal were going toe-to-toe with City. So, yeah, I think there will be twists and turns to come, and you just hope that, unlike last season, there's going to be that element that there's going to be 2 or 3 sides that can at least take it through deeper into the season. So we've got an interested run in.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Jack, how many managers do you think will have been removed from their post before the next Premier League match kicks off in the Premier League, guys?
Oh, in the
in this international window, how many change of managers are there going to be? Give me a number.
No more than 1.
1.
Do I even think 1? I think they would have gone by now already, because it's started, hasn't it? So I don't think. I think, like, admittedly, one in the Championship got sacked today. You'd think they'd want to move a bit quicker, having had the games at the weekend, and now they'd make a move. But possibly 1. the guy that we've talked about. Obviously, there's a lot of money coming for him today to be removed, so there might be some whispers there. Another interesting name that's just been put up by Nigel there. Look.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brendan Rodgers would be a favourite, but Liam Rossini is an interesting one. Would Chelsea let him go to Fulham? That is the question. I mean, just to put, I mean, incredibly, Eddie Howe's the third favourite to be the next manager to leave his post. I saw some Newcastle fans not happy with him. I mean, this just shows you how fickle soccer actually is. But I think I'm with you. I think from the noises I've heard out of Leeds, we are keeping Farker during this international break. So
the weird thing is, and Black Cats has just now talked about it there. If Villa next game, if you get beat there and they get rid of him, you'd think, well, that's just real like bad timing, isn't it? Because you think you've got 2 weeks now. If you is he going to get one more game? And then you've got to go into an interim manager situation, the recruitment process. You probably, unless they've got someone lined up ready to go, which would suggest that they're out of work. Obviously, we talked about. But yeah, I feel that if you're going to make the call now.
Perfect. It should have been done. It should have been announced on Monday. I would have got rid of Daniel Farker because they say Villa next is the next home game for Leeds, and then it's Man City away, Chelsea at home, Liverpool at home, Brentford away. That's 0 points. No, I don't care who's in charge. No, we're not getting points against them teams. So the Villa game would be the one where you could maybe get them cold after the international break with a new manager, and maybe you might fluke a point against Chelsea or Brentford as well with a new manager. So anyway, that's for another day. Thank you, Jack, for joining me on Betting Weekly Live. As per always, let's remind people of that daily double today. We're in the EFL Trophy. Take it away. It's on screen.
It is indeed. So it's an over 3.5 goals double, would you believe? Colchester versus Fulham under 21s and Salford versus Wolves under 21s. And it's playing plus 303. We need to try and claw that back from these pesky American guys that are smashing it out of the park.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Are they going to make it 6 from 6 tonight? Is that the question?
In a row. It could be magnificent 7 in a couple of days. But they're back again at 5 p.m. Eastern time today. So don't miss that one. Betting with you tennis live in about an hour and 10 minutes with Rory Giovanni and Nigel Seeley. Just a few more comments before we go. Black Cats. People will suss us out, I fear. He's talking about Sunderland there. Maybe in the second half of the season, there is a slight regression. But for now, it's all happy days with Sunderland. Grazza just popped up that Ronaldo has made 225 international appearances. That is remarkable, actually, for a stat. But will Amorim last the full season, said Brad Betts Footy. He's probably the one manager I've got wrong. I expected him to go in this last few weeks, but he's managed to turn it around. So it's not often I'm not far off the mark with managers, but Amorim, I think the main reason is that they're just not involved in any of the competition right now, and he can focus solely on the league, and it's a real help. So I would say at this point, he probably does last the season now, Brad Betts, because it's quite an easy schedule for them. Jack Wright, more Betting Weekly live shows than Ronaldo international caps.
Yeah. As long as there's an EFL Trophy, I'm going to be on a Betting Weekly live show.
Right. Well, good luck with.
Oh, by the way, someone did mention Peterborough just before we go. That was my best single of the day. Peterborough to beat Crawley away. They were -107 when I messaged you earlier today, Steve. I saw they're -134 just to become on air. So if you don't want to take that, add in over 2.5 goals, and you get +102. So
always been posh, you haven't you? Ray saying no managers this break. That would pay reasonily well, I reckon. Ray, you'd probably get what, 3-1 on that, maybe.
He's obviously loving Nuno at the Hammers there. He's not wanting him out. He's happy. He's keeping him now.
He's good with the Nuno. Right, tomorrow, Dan Roebuck's back with Nathan Joyce. He's going to be joining Dan tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. So I'm sure we'll get some great international break action from Nathan analysing all the
King of South America.
Yeah, there's going to be some great stuff there. So thanks everyone who did join today's show. Love your company, Jack. Why should talk about a load of Rangers things there. But take care all, and good luck with that Daily Double. See you next time. Betting Weekly Live. Goodbye.